Have you ever wondered what happens when the trauma of bullying follows someone, well, beyond the grave? Today, we are diving into a really chilling story from an old boarding school. It's about a lonely new student who finds a friend, except this friend, yeah, she isn't exactly on the school register. This is a story of some serious supernatural revenge and a dark history that someone tried very hard to keep buried. So the whole thing kicks off with this really ominous warning from the school matron. And listen, this isn't a suggestion, it's a direct order. Right from the jump, you get this feeling that some places are off limits for a very, very good reason. It just sets this tone of mystery and, honestly, a bit of danger. All right, so let's dive into the first part of this story, where we're introduced to this pretty oppressive all-girls hostel. We're going to meet our main character, get a handle on the bizarre rules of this place, and see the seeds of conflict get planted. Okay, let's get a quick look at who's who. We've got Nivedita, our terrified new girl. Then there's Chetna, your classic school bully. We have Anu, the strict matron who seems to know more than she's letting on. And then there's Alia. And trust me, she's the one we really need to figure out. From the moment she sets foot on campus, Nivedita is just miserable. You can feel her panic, right? She's literally begging her father not to leave her there. She feels completely isolated, scared, and just totally vulnerable, which of course makes her the perfect target for bullies. And as we're about to find out, for lonely spirits. So the matron, Akanu, lays down some pretty weird rules. These aren't your typical lights out at 10 kind of thing. She specifically warns the girls to stay away from a huge tree in the yard. And this one's really strange, to always keep their hair tied up, especially at night. You just know these aren't about discipline, they're warnings. Okay, and this is where the story really starts to get intense. After getting a really rough welcome from the bullies, Nivedita actually finds a friend. But this friendship, well, it becomes the catalyst for a whole series of terrifying, completely unexplainable events. So just when Nivedita is at her absolute lowest, feeling totally alone, Alia appears. She's kind, she's protective, and it's like she knows exactly what Nivedita needs. She's basically a lifeline in this awful place. But for the bullies, Alia's arrival is the beginning of a total nightmare. So a really scary pattern starts to take shape. Every single time Nivedita gets bullied, there's this immediate supernatural payback. Look at this. The bullies trip her, and a heavy drawer slams shut, crushing one of their hands. Chetna tries to get in her face, and a compass literally flies through the air and stabs her. Alia is definitely protecting her friend, but her methods are brutal. Things absolutely explode when Chetna, the main bully, finds her hair has just burst into flames, out of nowhere. It is the most violent thing that's happened yet, and of course, guess who gets the blame? Yep, all eyes are on Nivedita. Now she's in huge trouble with the school. Nivedita, completely panicked, confronts Alia about it. And Alia just calmly confesses with this bone-chilling line. She has zero remorse. To her, it was simple justice. She was just protecting her friend. But for Nivedita, this is a horrifying confirmation. Her only friend isn't just protective. She's a dangerous, supernatural entity. So when Nivedita tries to explain, hey, it was Alia, she did it, Matron Anu goes to check the school records, and what she finds is a total gut punch. There is no Alia. No student with that name or who even looks like her is enrolled in the entire school. The friend, the protector, she doesn't exist. That bombshell completely changes everything. So now we have to ask, if Alia isn't a student, then what is she? The matron realizes something is deeply, deeply wrong here, and she starts digging into the school's dark, forgotten history. Anu knows Nivedita isn't just making things up. She trusts her student's description of this mysterious girl, so she heads to the one place that might have answers, the dusty old school archives, with this growing sense of dread looking for answers in files from decades ago. In there, buried in a file from way back in 1994, she finds a name, Alia Raghavanshi. Turns out she was this quiet, brilliant student who was a total outcast. She just kept to herself, always had her nose in a book, and that made her a prime target for the cruelest kids in her class. And this is where the full, awful truth comes out. The bullying just got worse and worse. Until one night, a group of girls tied Alia to a bench right near that forbidden tree and just left her there. Abandoned her. Utterly broken and alone, she took her own life. Right there, on that tree. Her spirit, just trapped by all that pain and loneliness, never left. And here's the truly sickening part. Alia wasn't the only one. Her death was just the first. Other girls took their own lives in the years that followed, but the school, terrified of getting bad press, buried every single story. This isn't just a ghost story anymore. It's a story of a total institutional failure, where their silence allowed a tragedy to fester into an actual curse. So with this horrible history finally uncovered, Matron Anu knows she has to do something, and something drastic, to save Nivedita from this vengeful spirit. And that leads to a final, desperate confrontation. Nivedita, who is understandably terrified at this point, pushes Alia away. She screams at her, calls her a bad girl. And for this incredibly lonely spirit, that is the ultimate betrayal. It's like she's being abandoned all over again. Fearing Alia's rage is now going to turn on Nivedita, Anu calls in a Guruji, a spiritual expert, to try and help. The Guruji gets to work right at the source of the haunting, that cursed tree. He starts chanting to dry out the spirit. He uses a lemon that will apparently turn black in its presence, and then he prepares to confront Alia directly. But here's the key. He's not there to destroy her. He's there to offer her a path to peace. When Alia's spirit finally appears, her words are just heartbreaking. She cries out, "I'm not evil. Evil was done to me." And that's really the core of it all, isn't it? She's not the monster here. She's what the monsters created. She was just trying to stop Nivedita from suffering this same horrible fate that she did. So the Guruji does something really smart. He doesn't try to fight her or banish her by force. Instead, he offers her a choice that comes from compassion. He says, you can cling to your anger and stay trapped here forever, or you can let go of Nivedita and finally find mukti, the spiritual liberation she was so cruelly denied in her life. And in the end, the promise of peace is just too much to pass up. The spirit of Alia Raghuvanshi agrees. She lets go. The violent energy in the school just dissipates. The haunting is finally over, and Nivedita is safe. So the story ends, and Nivedita is safe, which is great. But it leaves you with this lingering question. The school's cycle of violence was broken, but for a soul like Alia, one that was literally forged from such profound loneliness and injustice, is true peace ever really possible? Or does that kind of pain just find a new, quiet place to wait?